My thesis, in a single sentence: civilized societies revolve around education now, but there is a better, indeed more civilized way. If everyone had a college degree, the result would be not great jobs for all, but runaway credential inflation. Trying to spread success with education spreads education, but not success. He actually just put out a brand new book. It's called The Case Against Education, which is interesting coming from a guy who went to Princeton and got a PhD, and it takes on the ivory tower ideal. Tries to push American students toward educations and careers that might be more happy for them or more wealth-making for them. Dr. Caplan is a professor of economics at George Mason University, right over the Potomac in Virginia here. I asked him if his argument is elitist and why it makes more sense than what we're doing now. If you could distill for us why you'd say, stop telling everyone to go the traditional 4-year plus route.
All right, so the main reason is just that most of what you learn has very little to do with the real world, which does not mean that you won't get paid more, but it does mean that it isn't really worth encouraging it from a social point of view.
You say in the article several times, listen, you are going to get paid more money if you do at least a bachelor's degree. However, there could be payoffs in other ways, possibly by pursuing another route. What would those be?
You know, there are other countries like Germany and Switzerland where a lot of kids from at around what we would call middle school or junior high go onto a vocational route and they get job training, and so they are prepared by the time that we would just be graduating from high school to do a job to a German or Swiss level of excellence. And it seems like they get much better results there, especially in terms of, they have very, very little underclass in those countries, and it seems like a lot to do is that the kinds of kids that just don't like school here will just give up and do very little, and there they get trained and just have a totally different path.
And I wonder what brought you around to this, because I'm assuming when you were entering university and then pursued a graduate education, which you have sterling bona fides, that you were thinking, I have to do this. That I bet you didn't even consider an alternate route.
I mean, I will say from a very early age, I've always known there was something odd about what's going on. Just the, like even in kindergarten, like, why do we have to learn this stuff? But then people said, well, if you don't do this stuff, you can't advance to the next level. And if you don't advance to that level, you can't advance to the level after that. So, really the heart of my book is what's called the signaling model. It just says a lot of the reason education pays isn't that you're learning useful skills, it's that you're jumping through hoops to look good for employers. Of course, if you unilaterally stop doing this, you look really bad. But from a social point of view, encouraging people to spend more and more years at school is really a waste, because we can't all be in the top 25% of educational credentials.
You hear so often about let's increase technical education, let's increase VOTEC. Someone has to make that jump. Someone has to say, I'm going to be the one to start this trend, and maybe my kid is going to be the one to start this trend. It's hard to be the first.
Right. Certainly it's hard to be the first if you are already college bound. But I would say, for a lot of kids where they've just never done well in school, they don't like it. I think for them, it's a different story. There, I think most of it is there's just a lot of pressure from school saying, everyone has to be on the college track.
And I can already hear critics saying this is very easy for a professor with this CV to say this. Isn't it an elitist position?
Yeah, isn't an elitist position to say that we should match people to things that interest them? I don't think so. I think it's just an honest approach. So in a way, I think it's kind of elitist to say the only thing worth doing is college and everything else is just a second choice or a third choice.
What's something that you think has been undercovered from your research or the positions that you're putting out there that you wish would be picked up and maybe taken across the finish line?
I guess the main thing is people often read my book and say, here's this economics professor who thinks the only thing that kids are doing in school is getting trained for jobs, and it's so much richer than that. And I got a whole chapter on all the other stuff. I've got a whole chapter on the political effects and the effects on people's tastes and the effects on the family and so on. So it's not that I haven't thought about these other things. The main reason why I focus on jobs is just because when you ask college students, why are you here? The overwhelming answer is to get a better job and to make money.
I thought that was compelling. When I asked him if it was elitist, I did not expect him to turn it around like that, and I thought he had very good answers.